Correction, the Progressive Empowerment Party.
Progressive. What did I say?
People's Empowerment Movement.
People's Progressive
The Progressive Empowerment Party.
PEP, right.
Peppers, we call ourselves Peppers.
Okay. So, well, thank you for coming.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sateesh Ramsaran. I'm the PEP candidate for St. Augustine. Thank you for having me. Good evening to all the listeners of 101.7 and to all the Peppers out there.
How is your campaign going?
It's going well, I think. We're on the ground, pushing the PEP on the ground. A big problem we had was the media block. Some people would say we don't have a media block. I don't know where they get that from. So what we're trying to do is get people to know, hey, the PEP is here. The PEP has been here for almost 4 years, and we're here to come to fix the country. Okay,
so I take it your major emphasis is, like your name says, empowering people.
Right.
How you plan to do that?
Through education. One of the I say the biggest weapons that we have in the PEP is our education, trying to educate people to what exactly is going on in the country. You had a caller just now asking,
Trevor Sudama, yes.
Right, asking if we still, what was the word, if we're still slaves or
in captivity.
In captivity. And I was thinking that's the power that we are that's what we're trying to do, get people out of that captivity through education.
So you do believe that we are in political captivity?
Yeah, I believe so. But since about 4 years now, 4 years ago, I was probably in political captivity until I heard Philip Alexander talking to us about exactly what goes on in our country, who actually controls, who has actually power of the parliament, not the politicians, but a few very powerful people in the country that, and at the end of the day, we are the ones who suffer from their profiteering.
As you walk your constituency, what are people saying to you?
People are fed up. They want change. They are fed up of the excuses. They're fed up of the promises. They say St. Augustine is a UNC seat. In 2010, Kamala Persad-Bissessar won the election. She had a special majority. She could have fixed so many things. The system of local government needs changing. On where I live, on the side of me, there are thousands of people who don't have their own homes because they didn't get title to their homes.
And where is this?
This is in Stratham Lodge Road in St. Augustine, on the southern side. So basically, on the eastern side of Stratham Lodge Road, in fact, about everybody, they don't have title to their land. And all they had to do in 2010 was to sign a piece of paper, do some research, do you own a piece of land? Yes, take your title. And they're still making those promises today. Up to now, I'm hearing them making those promises for land tenure. And people just fed up with these lies.
This is a hypothetical question.
Mm-hmm.
The UNC's candidate may very well win again.
Honestly, I'm trying my best to empower the people and let them know what's going on. At the end of the day, it's up to the people to decide what they want. They know what they get from the UNC already. You go and people talk about misrepresentation. I go on the ground and people show me how they actually had to clean their own drains. They're not getting the representation. They're not getting anything from local government. And this is what peeves me a lot. When the UNC had a special majority, they could have fixed everything in this country. Local government does not work, and we have plans and policies to fix it. But and the reason why we want to fix it is to serve the people better. I don't know if you know, a couple of days ago, Philip Alexander did a live about a derelict van in Diego Martin. And a constituency member from St. Augustine, actually from St. Joseph, called me and said, hey, I have a derelict vehicle on my street. So I went and checked it out. It's actually on the border behind KFC by the subway, where Subway was. So that is the border of St. Joseph and St. Augustine. The van is in St. Joseph, but the local councillor is a UNC councillor. How does that work? It doesn't work. For 6 years, they've been writing to the local councillor, asking him to remove that van. Rats, cockroaches, the van is packed up, but they can't clean the drain. And 6 years, they haven't been able to move the van. So you have a PNM member of parliament, a UNC councillor. Of course, it's not going to work. It's like mad. People went and draw these maps for us.
It's a disconnect.
It is, and we have to fix all that.
That's right. What is your strongest message in your campaign?
Our policies. We have a 21. If people could go on our website, www.peptt.com, click on our policies and look at what we want to do, if any of those policies are enacted in Parliament, that's what I want to do. That's my job.
Share some of them with us.
Recall. Recall is one of the most important policies I think that we need to do. There's only one time you see a member of Parliament, people complain, is during elections, and the only reason for that is they know that they could get fired. But if they make all these promises, like, I'm going to give you your land, you vote for me, I'm going to give you your land, and they don't, the power of recall could come. What happens? The people could say, wait, no, you promised me something. I didn't get it. Let's enact recall. Recall is, I think, one of the most important policies that we have. Water management. People are suffering for water in this country, in our country. Look at the amount of rain that fell today in St. Augustine and all over the country, and people are suffering for water. What we say, basically, all this water that's falling, instead of letting it out into the ocean, you hold it, you trap it, and in dry season, you treat it and you let it go. But right now, we are letting go the water into the ocean, and we are paying $500,000 to bring it back in and desalinate it to give it back to people. Why? Because certain amount of people have to make plenty money to desalinate water.
Well, that may be one part of
it is part, but
one part of the accusation. I think the other part may very well be the lack of planning. One cannot help but to remember what happened in central Trinidad and in the woodland area of South Trinidad recently. I can talk for central Trinidad, Kelly Village, St. Helena, Las Lomas, because I'm from that area. And what I saw over those dreadful days tells me that this country should never suffer a water shortage.
We live on an island surrounded by water. Half the year it's flooded and half the year is dry. Take the water from the half the year that is flooding and just store it. Everything, it's as if the only purpose of government is to serve our people, and one of those purposes is to give people water. Simple. Dubai is a desert. Las Vegas is a desert. These people get water all the time. Why can't we?
So how are you going to fix it?
This is what I said just now. Each constituency, we need more reservoirs. We need more dams. What we want to do is to actually build reservoirs in all the constituencies. And each constituency, the reservoirs, we trap the water during the rainy season, and in dry season, we treat it and we let it go. So each constituency will have a mini WASA, public-private partnership, to distribute water in the constituency.
There must be a regulator, right?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, we want people to actually, if it's a private partnership, they'll have to learn to make money and they have to regulate it. But at the end of the day, it will be cheaper for people because the people don't have to pay for water tanks, they don't have to pay for pumps to pump the water. So, win-win for everybody.
Yes. Now, I've seen some of PEP's telecasts and do sincerely believe that you're serious about the politics of Trinidad and Tobago. But the latest tracking poll indicates that the electorate is not touched by a third force. Neither can a third party make a difference in these elections.
Which tracking poll is this, and who did the tracking poll?
HHB, I think it was on behalf of the Guardian media company.
Well, who owns the Guardian?
Well,
that's where the media block comes in. That's where that tracking poll, PNM, UNC, and COP. The COP is a non-entity in the elections right now. Why haven't they polled the PEP? Why? We are accustomed to the media block. They're afraid to put in PEP inside there. I want them to put the PEP inside there, and let's get the proper facts. The PEP is fielding 28 candidates this elections. We could win our elections. We could form a government. But why PNM, UNC, COP? Why? They're afraid of the PEP and they're afraid to show the population how many people support the PEP.
Which of the seats are you confident the PEP will win?
All seats. All seats.
That includes your own?
That includes my own. At the end of the day, I said people are fed up and they want change. And if they really want the change, I'm doing my part to make the change. If they don't want it, well, it's up to the people. At the end of the day, it's up to the people. It's up to the people to decide who their leadership is and what they want for the country.
Do you know Mr. Samad? Environmentalist Mr. Samad?
No, sorry.
Never heard of him? He is always protesting. He is the man who went in front of the gates of Mr. Calder Hart and was arrested and so on. In 1976, Mr. Samad was fighting an election against Kamaluddin Mohammed. and Kamal was in the height of his political career. And I asked Mr. Samad, what are your chances? He said, very good, excellent. I believe I have the best chances in the whole world. Mr. Samad got 1 vote in a house that had 2 votes. That means his wife didn't vote for him.
That does not matter. That doesn't matter to us. There are people who said slavery can end. There are people who said a black man can be president. There are people who said women would never be able to vote. We don't believe in the impossible in the PEP.
Do you believe that slavery has ended?
Slavery of what? Slavery of the mind? Slavery
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Slavery of the mind? No, definitely not. And that's why we say we try to educate the people. The only way to get people out of that mental slavery is education. That's the only way.
Yeah. So all right, let's now talk your party and its campaign strategy in the next 2 weeks.
Our strategy is go out and talk to people about our policies, talk to people about what really happens in our country, PNM, UNC. This exchange is not working. Our government, our country is almost bankrupt. We are at our GDP, debt to GDP ratio is about 68% right now. That means every $100 you have, $68 goes towards paying off debt. We have never diversified our economy. We talk about all these things, diversification. St. Augustine, what I want to do for St. Augustine. I want St. Augustine to be a agro-processing powerhouse. We have at least 20,000 acres of land barely doing nothing in the southern side of St. Augustine. Kind of agro-processing in terms of just infrastructure alone, creating jobs. A constituent called me about 2 days ago. She said that she doesn't have a job. She can't afford the books from a book list. And she didn't ask me for money. She didn't ask me for the books. She just asked me if I could help her get a job. People have no jobs in this country. And we need to do something. Diversification is the answer to creating jobs in our country.
So one party is claiming it has a plan to create 50,000 jobs.
Why didn't they do it? Where was this plan? Where was this plan when they won the election, when they had power in 2010? And another thing, what differentiates us from that UNC party is we actually explain how we're going to create the jobs. UNC would say, I'll give you 25, 50, 100,000 jobs. Vote for me. They don't explain how they're going to do it. When we talk about diversification and we talk about building new infrastructure is central to decentralize the country, because everybody is going to Port of Spain, 250,000 people going to Port of Spain, causing traffic and going back out. It's what? Chalk and cheese, the difference between the PNM and the UNC. The UNC and the PEP.
Do you think the government of the day has handled the COVID situation properly?
Look what's going on right now. Our borders are open. PNM and UNC, they have never secured our borders. They don't, as if they don't know how to secure our borders. You're seeing Venezuelan boats coming in. You go on social media, you see Venezuelan boats coming in. And the Coast Guard boats, you can't find them. They don't have gas, they don't have diesel, they just parked up there. What is going on in our country? And I don't know. They don't want to admit where the COVID-19 is going. I see all these Venezuelan boats coming in, so I as a layman, I would assume that the COVID-19 is coming in from Venezuela. And the PNM government is doing nothing about it. And they want to go and say, hey, I did something for COVID-19. They campaigning that they're the protectors of COVID-19. But look, it's coming back in.
So what is your party's plan to fix the health system in Trinidad and Tobago?
We actually want to, for each constituency, there's a magic time, 10 minutes for an ambulance to actually reach somebody in case of a heart attack, in case of a stroke, in case of something else. So we will actually want to place step-down hospitals in each constituency. Make sure that ambulance is 10 minutes away from somebody. Right now, people have been having jokes that people call ambulances and they wait the next day. The ambulance will call them, do you still need an ambulance? And, if you call an ambulance now, you don't know when that ambulance is going to come. So these step-down facilities in all the constituencies that we actually want to build, they complete with dental, medical, and in case of any actually serious emergencies, they'll have facilities there. They'll be run by specialized nurses and then on-call doctors. So in case anything happens, the doctor is a few minutes away from the hospital to come in and save the patient.
All right. So you've trained your gun somewhat on the UNC, saying that it had an opportunity between 2010 and 2015 when it had a majority to fix
The
a lot
special
of
majority
things.
they had, yeah.
To fix a lot of things. Will you agree that the partnership government did a lot of work in its short time in office?
I would agree that all parties do their share of work. I mean, it's not only UNC that builds schools, everybody else.
But we're talking about the UNC here.
Yeah, I would agree that. Well, I would agree that the UNC did work, but it's what they didn't do that is the problem. And the work that they did, the amount of corruption and the amount of all this, that it's as I said, the country is broke because of the corruption. PNM will come in and name one UNC person that they will charge for corruption. UNC would come in and name one PNM person they will charge for corruption. You can't. The country's fed up of this. I am fed up of this, and that's why I'm in politics. You're not fed up of this?
Tell me something about you, the politician.
I never thought I would be a politician. I'm a father, I'm a husband, and I'm afraid for the future of my children. They have no, I don't know, there's no hope for them. I mean, even if you want to give them the best life in the country, we live basically, I consider like Trinidad and Tobago as a boat. I mean, on one side of the boat is good, but another side of the boat is leaking. Eventually, the entire boat will leak. If there's one side of the boat is leaking and refuse to help out, my children could grow up in Trinidad and Tobago and then meet the people from the side of the boat that has been leaking all the time. And I'm afraid of that. There more and more people get on with poverty and no jobs, and it just that's just a creation. That's the reason for crime. That's the biggest reason for crime. People don't have jobs. So that's one of the reasons why I got into politics, to fix our country. I'm very afraid for our future.
So non-job creation creates the avenue for crime. This is what you are saying, right?
I'm saying that one of the biggest ways to prevent crime is to give people jobs. Poverty, and imagine you have a man with 2-3 children, belly's hungry, don't know what to do. What would you do? What would you do if you can't go and get a job and you can't get income to feed your children? What would you do? Anybody would be tempted to go and do something wrong.
Well, I don't know if I had that kind of upbringing. I remembered growing up in a house where you have to eat dry roti in the morning, keep a piece for lunch, and keep a piece for evening time. That didn't send me stealing.
Well, unfortunately, not a lot of people think like you. And
what about you? You think like me?
Yeah, I think like you.
Right. And so you wouldn't go stealing. Right. I wouldn't go stealing.
But that doesn't stop the fact that there are people out there who don't think like us, and they will do the crime. So at the end of the day, to help everybody in our country, just try to provide jobs for them.
All right. So I buy your argument about if you have access to financial wherewithal, there is no need to steal. But there are some people who have and want more.
It's funny, the people who have and want more are the real ones, are the powerful ones we talked about just now, who the real ones in our country. I mean, you have people stealing $500 or $1,000 from somebody there, but you have people in our country stealing billions. And we don't go after these people. We target these people, these small people with the $500 and $1,000, and we don't target the people who steal the billions from us. And that's part of the education of PEP. We have to stop them.
But we're seeing and we're hearing accusations about people, and they remain accusations,
of course,
until people are proven guilty. And especially at this time, you hear exactly. Right. You hear political leaders saying, "Well, it's witch hunting." They're going.
But the people of our country know this. The people of our country know this. We don't have to. No speculation. They know it. But at the end of the day, they're afraid. They're afraid to come out and talk about it. They're afraid to get into lawsuits and this and that. And they're afraid to lose. They're afraid. The people are afraid. And we can't be afraid. We can't be afraid. We have to go because our country is being destroyed. We're almost close to Venezuela. We're nearly close to Venezuela right now, the way we're going to be. After elections, I'm sorry for this country, Anybody who wins the elections during the next elections going to have a really, really hard time. The PNM, they're afraid to call elections early because they're afraid to call the budget They don't know what to do.
You think the PNM is in trouble?
I think they're in plenty of trouble. I think they're in plenty of trouble. I don't think they could rely on the COVID-19 to say again that they try to protect the people, because as time passed, people are seeing now that they haven't done a good job. The borders are now open again. Yeah, PNM is in plenty of trouble.
All right. You have a position on constitutional reform, because that seems to be a major talking point and a major issue in Trinidad and Tobago.
Our constitution, there are good things in our constitution, and some things need change. Recall is one of the major things. Referendum is another major thing that we need to enact. Cases like death penalty. As a member of parliament, I can't go by myself and say, hey, I agree to the death penalty, or I do not agree to the death penalty. What we want to do in the PEP is to give people referendum. So basically, we go out and ask our constituents, my up to 28 to 30,000 constituents, what do you feel about the death penalty? Yes or no? And then I have to go inside there and vote according to what the majority thinks. And we don't have referendum in Trinidad and Tobago, and I think it's very important, especially for those moral issues, the death penalty, LGBTQT issues and stuff like that there. Let the people decide what they want.
There is an argument, there has been an argument for a long time, that hangings will prevent an escalation in crime. Do you subscribe to that?
It depends on what the science says. I haven't really looked at the science. At the end of the day, as I said earlier, it's up to the people to decide. Hangings, for sure, I don't know if it scare people or not, the kind of people we have out there. The science says, I believe, don't I shouldn't say this, don't quote me on anything, but I believe the science says...
No, I wouldn't quote you, you're quoting
yes,
yourself.
Yes, it's true. Yeah. But hangings alone doesn't prevent crime. I don't think so.
But it's a deterrent.
It is a deterrent, and as many deterrents as possible is a good thing. But at the end of the day, those moral decisions, that has to be left with the people. Not just the 41 people in Parliament, but with the entire population.
Yes, and I'll tell you why I say it is a deterrent, because there's a fear that exists in the mind of the criminal or potential criminal. If I get caught, I'll be hanged.
Right.
And the example I will draw to you is a relative of mine who works in the prison system said to me in 2007, when Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj was reinvited to join the UNC, if you will recall, they had problems, and he was asked to come back into the UNC. And from death row, this relative is telling me, the sentiments were expressed very loudly. If that fella get back inside there and they win, we dead.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these are guys on death row who are expressing this view about the death penalty, about hangings and so on. So it is really, in some areas, a deterrent.
But before we go to deterrence of hangings, going to the extreme, we are lacking a lot of deterrence for the smaller crimes out there.
Yes.
You know, so I think we need to start also there. I mean, look at in terms of corruption alone. I want to see as a deterrent to these politicians to go inside a politician and never think to go and steal $1 from the citizens of the country. And to do that, have a deterrent inside there to say, hey, wait now, you stole some money from being fired to being put in jail. But at the end of the day, there's no deterrent for any politician. They go inside there for the 5 years. There's no recall, so they could do whatever they want. If you could go and do whatever you want, people are naturally people. They will go, and then it's just a more avenue for corruption, and we have to put a stop to that.
Do you believe we have a system that allows too much liberty?
Liberty in terms of what?
In everything, in everything. You walk, you travel the country, and what do you see on the side of the road?
Garbage.
You see garbage. Apart from the garbage, you see people setting up shop on the side of the road where there is traffic. And in order to access sales, you have to stop.
That's where proper planning comes in. I believe that in order for a country to run efficiently and to move forward, You need to have better planning and better enforcement of everything. As I say, there's no deterrent. People could put up a shop somewhere else and cause traffic and cause this and that, and you just give us somebody a little bribe there and you could go through and do whatever you want. And we need deterrence for that. We have to put a stop to it. We need people to come and say, hey, wait now, there is a problem here and we need to stop it.
We need discipline.
Discipline. That's
discipline.
it. Yeah.
Discipline is lacking at so many
discipline
levels.
Is lacking at so
of
many,
the
and the reason
society.
why? Because we don't have deterrents for it.
Yes, and that's why we could end this interview with the subject of the day, which is 1990.
Right.
You have a view on 1990?
My personal view, I don't have a view on it over the people. My personal view is 24 people died that day. People lost millions of dollars. People went out they lost their businesses, and there was no justice for them. And you see the people who actually did walk on around the country, and I actually have a personal problem with that. There was no justice given to these people who suffered under the 1990 coup. That should have never happened.
And there's a possibility it could happen again.
I mean, I'd say what I have to say again.
Notwithstanding commission of inquiry and all the loopholes that were exposed, the man who perpetrated the crime, which is a crime on the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago, continues to say that whilst I may apologize for the hurt and the pain people have suffered, I'm not prepared to apologize to the nation of Trinidad and Tobago for what I have done. I've done nothing wrong.
That's up to him and his maker. That's up to him and the people and boy, I don't want to say anything already to get me in trouble. All
right. So do we expect that you will be back here on election night to talk about your victory?
I hope so. Well, on election night, no, not election night, probably after elections.
Oh, we can get you on the phone.
Yeah, you can get me on the phone. You know, to me, it doesn't matter if I win or lose. At the end of the day, as I said, what we want to do in the PEP is to educate the people to see exactly what's going on. And I want to say at least I try to do something in my life to fix our country. I know for sure the PNM and UNC, we giving them a chance. We giving them multiple chances. They have not, all they do, when the PEP was formed, they were actually fighting about who was stealing more roti in the parliament. And now they're talking about policy. All of a sudden, Kamala Pasabi-Sessa and Keith Rowley, more Kamala Pasabi-Sessa, they're talking about policy. They're talking about water management. I mean, UNC would thief so much, he even stole some of the PEP policies. So at the end of the day,
have they?
Yeah, they're talking about water management now. When did you ever hear about Kamala Pasabi-Sessa talking about water management?
No, I think in her term in office she delivered water, and Mr. Panda's term in office delivered water to the people of the country.
Not all the people of the country.
Not all could not have done it. He stayed 5 years in office.
We will do it. We could do it.
In 5 years?
In 5 years, we could do it.
All
really,
right.
People who say the impossible is possible. That's us. People would have never thought, could have thought that somebody with 4 years ago started off from scratch. No recycled politicians started from scratch with a media blackout will get as big as us to field 28 candidates within 4 years. They thought that was impossible.
A media blackout, but I have seen so much of the PEP.
Where have you seen
social
so much
media?
of the PEP?
Social media.
Social media.
Yeah. So it's not a media. Not a media blackout.
That is social media. Social media is free, you know. But I'm talking about the
conventional
media.
Yeah. But you're here. There's conventional
on nomination day. The CNC3 refused to interview Philip Edward Alexander for nomination day. We fielded 28 candidates. Philip had to go and make a video outside CNC3. They put the poll the other day. PNM, UNC, and COP. Who's the COP again? COP is fielding 4 candidates. We're fielding 28. It is blatant what they're doing to us, and they don't want. That's why they're afraid of us. They're afraid of people to hear the education, to hear what we're trying to empower people. They're afraid of that.
So we are happy that you've spared the time from your walk to come and share some thoughts. As I said, we were expecting Mr. Alexander.
He humbly apologizes, but I was actually closer to I'm from St. Augustine there, and I was happy for the opportunity.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we have 2 weeks again. Anytime you let us know, and we'll be happy to do some updates on your campaign.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Good night. It's 7:01. That's the end of the show for this evening. And, I don't know if we will have this listener tomorrow, but we're having Carolyn Sipasad Bechan on our show. Good night.